Hi guys, and welcome back to Worley's Watchbox, and today we have another review. Surprise, right? But today we have a really cool vintage review that's a little bit different. I think the only other vintage watch that we've done on the channel was the Omega DeVille, and that is a beautiful vintage watch. But I think I got one here today that might outshine it by just a little bit. And it is a vintage King Seiko that I think is from early 1967. And I gotta say, this watch is it's stunning. Even today, 50 some years later, it still shines and it is a wonderful watch. So with all that said, let's take a closer look. Alright, so here is the vintage King Seiko off the wrist. And it's got that 44-2000 movement, automatic movement inside. And it is just stunning. Those beautiful sword hands is probably my favorite feature about this watch. So, with that, let's start the review. We'll do this one just like all the others. The timekeeping. So, I think this is about 35-ish seconds in 3 days. So minus 35 in 3 days, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's better than most regular Seikos you could buy. So yeah, not too bad there. So the timekeeping is pretty good, especially for its age. I was notified that it was serviced, but I got this on eBay and he said it was serviced not too long ago, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it might need another servicing. But the movement, like I said, uses that 44-2000 movement there. And I think there is an issue with it. So it's supposed to have hacking, right? Hand winding, hacking, automatic. So I pull this out here and then I let go and it starts going again. It's like I have to hold onto the crown for it to hack. And I don't think it's supposed to be like that. Oh, of course, now that I say that, it actually works well on camera. Well, I guess that's a good thing, right? But anyway, so the movement, good movement. You know, for the time to have hand winding, hacking, and an automatic movement, you know, it was a pretty decent movement for its time. Now it's more standard, but back then it wasn't seen as much, not nearly as much as it is today. So good movement overall. The functionality, 10 out of 10. This is a true dress watch. It's not anything else. There's no loom on it. It's perfect, exactly how it is. True dress watch that tells the time very well. The strap and the bracelet. So I don't have the original strap to this. I just put on a crocodile grain here, or alligator, whichever one. And I think it suits the watch pretty well. You'll see it is 18 millimeter. It has that pesky 19 millimeter lug width, but you know, for the time that was more commonly seen back then. 19 millimeter wasn't anything really out of the norm. Today it's kind of an annoyance, but back then, you know, nothing to complain about. The finishing of this watch is perfect. So you'll see on the crystal, and we'll get to that in a second, it does have some scratches, but the markers and the hands look phenomenal. Just that high polish gold plated finishing on there. It just looks very good. I love it. I love this, the broad sword hands there. It just looks phenomenal. And the case, you know, just gold plated around here. Finishing's not too fancy, but it looks good. It really does. So, moving on to the crystal, your standard acrylic crystal there, just plastic. Nothing fancy, but I do love the vintage styling of the domed crystal there. And we've seen sort of a resurgence of this in vintage reissues, and I'm not going to complain about it because I love domed crystals. Looks great. Now, the case design, to some it might look rather plain, but I love the angular design that they put in there in the lugs, and it just looks really good. Now the crown, this is not original. The original crown would be signed and so I'm not going to ding it for that. This is a replacement crown that was obviously put on somewhere or sometime in the last 50 years. But look at the case back as well. It's got the old King Seiko medallion in there, and it looks really, really good. I love it. I love this case design. It's simple yet elegant. No complaints there. The size of this watch is 37 millimeters. Absolutely perfect size. It's what any dress watch, I believe, should be, anywhere between 36 and 38. No complaints there. Now, the dial of this watch is simple yet stunning. The broad sword hands, as I've said, look remarkable. The indices on this, they're a little chunky. They're a little chunky, especially, if you look at it from this angle too. They're thick, but they look damn good on this watch. They really do. There's some beveling going on there. High polished all around on the indices. Just remarkable. I can't tell you how much I like the aesthetics of this watch. It's just very well done. So the value of this watch, I got this for $400, I think, and for the money, I think that's an absolute steal. You can get similar Grand Seikos from this same era, and they'll cost $700 up, around $1,000 depending on the condition. And, King Seiko and Grand Seiko at this time were designed to compete against each other. There were two factories, and they tried to one-up each other. So you're getting Grand Seiko quality here. You really are. Eventually, Grand Seiko did win out. But no, this is, for the time, I would say a very nice luxury watch. And even today, I would consider this vintage luxury. Some may disagree, but I think this is every good. It's as good as a Grand Seiko is. It's just as good as any Grand Seiko would be from the time. So yes, you're getting a lot of value for your money, especially around that $300 to $400 price point, depending on the condition. Now, I did have an older. A slightly newer King Seiko than this. That was from 1968, and we'll throw a picture up there. And the dial is a little different. It has that sort of KS, insignia on there instead of King Seiko spelled out, and I do prefer that. But this dial is still just absolutely cracking. Love it. So, with that said, let's get on to our scoring. So, the timekeeping, we will give that a 9 out of 10. Still keeps great time despite its age. I think it's had a service, but might need servicing again. The movement, 10 out of 10. For the time, this was a pretty high-grade movement. Absolutely great. Functionality, it's a dress watch. It tells the time great. It's not supposed to be anything else. Perfect. The strap and the bracelet, I have to give it a 5 because, I don't have any experience with the original, and so I'm not going to knock it, but I'm not going to, say anything good about it because I don't have any experience with it. So just a middle-of-the-road score of a 5. The finishing, 10 out of 10. You can especially see that on the dial. Just absolutely remarkable. I've probably said that 15 billion times in this video already. The crystal, nothing special. It's an acrylic crystal. It has scratches in there. You can see that. But, for the time, it's period correct. Still going to give it a 6 because, obviously watches have improved since then. But, yeah, it still looks great. Still looks great. The size, 10 out of 10 at 37 millimeters. It's perfectly sized. The dial, 9 out of 10. I just prefer the newer King Seikos, per se, with that KS insignia on there instead of the King Seiko spelled out. But still, very beautiful dial. And then, like we just got done talking about, the value for these, it's tremendous value for money. So 10 out of 10 there for a total score of an 87. So it does beat out the Omega DeVille that was scored earlier, and that was our only vintage review so far. And so it stacks up pretty well on our list in between the Bull of a Hack Watch and the Seiko Turtle SRP 773. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.